Hey everybody, welcome to Snow Talk. Brian Good here. Christy Dutton, by the way, she is working this week, but she is on the night shift again. I'm doing morning, she's doing nights, so make sure to tune in to see her latest updates for you Christy Dutton fans, and there's a lot of you out there. Latest stats here real quick. As you can see, we're not too bad off for how we stand year to date. We're only a half inch behind schedule. Normal snowfall for the entire winter, by the way, is 12.5. So we have a foot to go before we really start to panic, before we get that far behind. But I think we will catch up, don't worry. Last year, again, that was an anomaly, so let's move right along to the board. Now, on the board, okay, this one's going to be a little hard to explain. I'm going to try to do that coming up here in a few moments. It's a long-range date here of the 16th to the 20th, but I'll try to explain how this is going to set up, and even that may be a stretch. It probably will be after the 20th, but I will set things up. First off, let's get you through the short term, as we always like to do. We've had some showers around this morning. Now we're starting to see the clouds trying to break up, but again, this is a little vort that came through here. So I had a southwest flow last night that warmed us up to 50. So a lot of when you went to work today, it was about 50 degrees or so. Now it's cooling off. So with the northwest flow, the only way now to warm back up is going to be some sunshine. And let me get rid of the sensitive mode and just look at just the photograph from space. And if you look carefully, you can see the breaks that have developed in our southern counties. You guys are seeing some sun. Also a few breaks here to the north. And let me loop it. Again, we only have the image only when the sun comes up. But you can see that some breaks are developing. So I think we have a little bit of sun in there to at least get us into the 50s again later this afternoon. Right now we're 48. So we're not too far off from getting back to the 50s. So it won't take much to do that. Models get us there, by the way. Then tonight, watch what happens at 1 o'clock in the morning. We've got a few clouds around, but then after that, you will see the gray expand. And usually when we see that on the model, it's fog that develops over the area. Now, here is Fogcast for later tonight from the in-house model that we have. And it's pretty much going dense fog almost everywhere, although it's not as dense in some locations. You can see it looks like the core of the dense air is something like this. Is what's picking out on the valleys, but it's got zeros everywhere. Once again, I think it's a little over dramatic, but fog is possible. And the truth is more than the soundings in a model like this. So when I looked at the sounding here for the NAM model, looking at Louisville, it had better moisture. Again, this is your moisture line green, temperature line in red, for the way that they are apart, the drier the atmosphere is. And they come together just above the surface level. I would say it looks to be maybe 2,000 feet or so. And it's a fairly thick layer, and the model, which is really cool, the BuffKit system that we use for the soundings, it'll tell you, does it think it's going to be a stratus deck, which is just a gloomy overcast sky, or is it going to be fog on the ground? And it tells me that it's favoring the stratus because the moisture is pretty thick. It shows a layer of fog on the ground, so it shows the potential there, but it's betting more on the idea of a stratus deck and not at ground level. That's for Louisville. For Madison, Indiana, a different story. When I ran you guys, we don't have soundings for every area, by the way. Just in our local area, pretty much Madison and Louisville is the only ones we got. But it's not as thick with the layer a lot, so it's betting more on fog, again, close to the ground. And it says fog favored. So there could be areas of dense fog later tonight and tomorrow morning. Make sure to watch Christy tonight for updates on this. And I'll be on again tomorrow morning with an update. It would likely take place just before sunrise, so it'd be a last-minute deal. But just not a big deal. And at this point, if you look carefully at the red line, it is forecast to stay right at the zero in Madison. That's important, so we don't have to deal with freezing fog again, just fog. Okay, then after that, we got a couple little pieces that move through. Here's one little piece that moved through. This is going to be Wednesday. That kind of passes by the Ohio Valley, maybe some clouds and showers with that. It moves out of the way, and then we get ready for the big kahuna, if you will. And here it is, showing up. This is the Euro as we head into Friday. So, let me show you the differences we have here in the weather models when it comes to the weekend. Let me, first off, get past this. Sorry about that. Here is that big storm moving in. This is the GFS brought to you by our friends over at Weather-Bill Analytics. And you can see that on Sunday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, it's not very deep with this trough. It's more of a wave more than anything. And just a quick shot of rain Saturday morning. Maybe some thunder. Not very impressive. Again, this is Sunday morning. Now let's look at the European model at the same exact time. On Sunday morning, this is what it has. a much deeper solution, a much deeper low developing to the south. Therefore, it's slower, strong south flow, and very warm flow, which would put us in record territory on highs. We have a chance to break the high temperature for both Saturday and Sunday, depending on how quickly it gets here. Because this is Sunday morning, Sunday night, it's going crazy with the idea for thunderstorms. And anytime you see these little streaks, that's not a good sign. That's an indicator of supercells embedded in squall lines. In other words, severe weather potential would become an issue, especially west of I-65, if the Euro is right. So that's a huge difference in location, and that's about a 24-hour difference that we have on speed. So that's why I'm not going to go into severe weather parameters. That's why the SPC has not outlooked the area. They're going to outlook the area somewhere in our region. It may be the Gulf Coast states, or it may go up to Tennessee, or may go to Kentucky. But I'm really confident they're going to outlook somebody for this. But because there's such a huge gap in the timing, they're not going to, and I don't blame them, because it's just too early. But the Euro is quite impressive. Not only just any chance for some gusty thunderstorms, but for rainfall. But even with the Euro, if we were to take it verbatim, as it stands in the last run, the new run comes out in about 3 hours, it would be arriving at night, which is a typical high wind event with a low cape, or low instability, so severe risk would diminish as it approaches I-65. You guys love, these storm lovers, like, why is it always I-65? But that's the way it's timing out right now, so we'll wait and see. Then it gets interesting, because then we head into the 16th, just a couple of days after the Wednesday. And the GFS brings in another low pressure into the Ohio Valley with some rain and thunder and some mild weather. In fact, wraparound moisture showing the potential for it to end as snow flurries or brief snow showers here on the back side as we head into next Wednesday night. The Euro, though, has no such thing for Wednesday. In fact, it has that same storm idea way back to the south and west. Now, the Euro is probably doing what it typically does, is it holds energy back too much before it throws it out. And I would start to argue, okay, maybe the GFS and the Euro are just having some problems, and then I look at the Canadian. And the Canadian, which usually has a tendency to line up pretty well with the Euro, it's also lined up with the GFS with a low pressure moving through the Ohio Valley. So right now, I think we have a system on tap for the 16th, and I'm going to keep it in there for the moment until we see what the Euro does later today and it catches on to that idea. And that's important because, as I said before, the gaps between these systems is crucial on your wintry wraparound for one thing, but also to keep the troughs building more and more to the south. We've got to get a dominant high pressure here to the north, and that will begin to force the storm track a little more active in the south, and that's what we've been waiting to see for the rest of the month of December. Is this the flip? No. It's just a better chance to get a rain to snow scenario than we've had so far, and that potential is there. Just for fun, and I do mean that, just for fun, here are the possibility from the CFS model long range model here of snow accumulations. This is over, the next 10 days through the 17th. You see, it has very light gray almost in every ensemble run for our area. And this would be the only way we would get snow, is what I just showed you like the GFS did. Wrap around, flurries, maybe a dusting. And that makes sense to me. Then we go into just before Christmas. And what you notice is a little more activity. Whoops, wrong key. You notice a little more activity developing in the Ozarks just to our northwest. These little streaks here. Even just on this ensemble, and even this one here in Chicago. That tells me that we're starting to get low pressures that are digging a little more to the south and east on the ensembles, which would be interesting, wouldn't surprise me. And let's go ahead and take it all the way out, since we're having some fun here. Let's take it to Christmas. And as we get into Christmas week itself, it's one model and some was nothing. Another one has backlash, snow flurry, same thing. And another one has a flat-out snowstorm that comes through the Ohio Valley. You know what? I'm not going to say there's no chance for snow. I know better than that. Right now, statistically, it's 14% chance. We'll see how it plays out. But it's not going to be likely a good tracking snow at this point until we see these indices. I mean, the pattern drives indices. Indices don't drive the pattern. Remember that. The Euro is still struggling with EPL. We've got to get this bad boy negative. PNA trying to go get negative. We don't want that. So we need these two to agree with this, because these two are. Finally, we're getting the cold air dislodged from the Arctic. We're starting to see signs of high pressure building in across Canada, and we're starting to see signs that some blocking is about to develop. That's why I think that we're about to get into a very busy period. The second half of December, I think, is going to be active. We're going to have storms every few days, and we're going to have some wild cards, and we're going to have some surprises. Question is, will one of those surprises be on Christmas Day? I don't have that answer. If I did, I would be very, very rich. But I don't. So I have to stay poor for now. See you later.